Considering that the Walt Disney World Resort and its various theme parks contain over 50,000 visitors on the average day, it's no surprise that sometimes things don't go as planned. In fact, Disney has had to fight off hundreds of lawsuits each year over incidents at their theme parks. Just how bad do some of these vacations get? Here's a look at some really weird things that happen to people at Disney World. Be sure to bring your death certificate. Over the years, cast members and custodians at the haunted mansions in both California's Disneyland and Florida's Disney World have had to deal with multiple guests smuggling the ashes of their lost loved ones and scattering them somewhere around or inside the attractions, according to the LA Times. The attraction's macabre landscape certainly looks like an opportune place for a person to leave the ashes of a beloved friend or relative, and whole online communities have sprung up around this bizarre practice. But Disney's staff advises against it. If you're caught, those ashes just get vacuumed up and dumped in the trash, and once you get thrown out of the park, you'll probably have to hitchhike home. Baby smuggling. Let's say you're a parent with an infant, but you really want to go on a thrill ride with a height requirement like Space Mountain. What do? Well, if your first answer is smuggle the baby onto the ride, congratulations, you just earned a visit from Disney security. According to one account, that's exactly what happened when one guest did in fact try to sneak in a 6-month-old baby onto Space Mountain by stuffing it into a bag. Houston, we have a problem. The deadliest place on Earth. Since the park opened in 1971, there have been dozens of deaths at Walt Disney World, most commonly due to heart attacks triggered by pre-existing conditions. Turns out those health warnings posted everywhere are deadly serious. And so are the safety warnings, as several guests and cast members have also died over the years by not following basic safety rules. For instance, back in 2000, a guest died when he tried to exit his Splash Mountain vehicle while the ride was still going. And the Skyway attraction was permanently closed shortly after a cast member was killed when another employee turned the ride on while it was being cleaned. Perhaps the most unusual cause of death at Disney parks, however, is animal attack. In 2016, a woman died of a heart attack after her grandson was bitten by a wild snake at the Animal Kingdom Park. And later that same year, Disney World made front-page news for all the wrong reasons when a 2-year-old was attacked and killed by an alligator.
After a desperate 16-hour search by air and boat, the heartbreaking news: 2-year-old Lane Graves found dead.
Disney has since posted warning signs near their hotels and removed several humorous references of alligators from attractions around the resort. Please stand clear of the doors. Though it's meant primarily as a way to get from one park to another, the monorail has become one of the most popular and beloved institutions at Walt Disney World. It's also one of the most dangerous, as there have been numerous accidents over the decades, including a crash in 2009 that left one employee dead.
Some of us just jumped into it and started pulling the train apart, trying to get access to see if there was anybody in there.
Perhaps the scariest incident on the monorail, however, took place back in 1985, when the silver monorail caught fire. Trapped passengers had to smash the windows out of their car and climb onto the roof of the monorail in order to avoid being burned to death. Following this incident, Disney upgraded the monorail with emergency exits and a fire detection system. Good thinking. Plane crash. In 1984, a family from South Carolina embarked on a trip to Disney World in a somewhat unusual fashion, flying to Florida in a single-engine private plane. Their trip ended in tragedy, however. As they neared their final destination, something went wrong, forcing them to attempt an emergency landing in the Epcot parking lot. Unfortunately, the plane's wing clipped a light pole, causing the plane to crash into several parked cars. Miraculously, nobody on the ground was injured, but the pilot, his wife, and their 1-year-old daughter were killed. Hostage crisis. Disney World is the last place you would expect to face a hostage crisis, but in fact it has happened twice. In 1992, a man named Alan Ferris entered Epcot after hours armed with a shotgun and demanding to see his ex-wife who worked at the park. When he was rebuffed, he fired at security, taking 2 guards hostage before eventually killing himself. And in 2000, a man named Bismarck Rodriguez held his 4-year-old son and a Disney cast member hostage with a .357 Magnum after luring the worker to their hotel room with a fake room service request. Rodriguez apparently was trying to find a different hotel employee he suspected of having an affair with his wife. After the tense standoff, Rodriguez was safely apprehended by police. And you thought Cruella de Vil was the scariest Disney villain. Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.